Good afternoon and welcome to Sewlicious Fabrics, and today we are doing a sew along, something a little bit different, and we are showcasing our Liberty fabrics today. So we have a few kits that we're going to be...
Sorry, carry on.
That you're going to technical issues on day one. So, some kits that you're going to be able to purchase today that are on the website. The links will be posted throughout the live so that you can go onto the website at a particular point and purchase the kits. In the kits you will get your backing fabric, which we haven't got out at the moment. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. And you are also going to get 4 fat quarters
of pre-cut
Liberty fabric in either the pink collection, the blue collection, or the coral collection. You can choose which colour way you would like. So if you would like the coral, it is the coral kit, blue kit, pink kit. You will also get wadding, also cut into your pre-cut squares, and you will also get some instructions again that are, I would say pre-cut. We're not going to pre-cut them at all. Instructions so that if you can't remember what Jenny does today, you will have them all written down for you. So that will all come in the kit. Just having some technical difficulties, so please bear with us while we're getting up and running. And yeah, I think we're all sorted. Yeah. So Jenny is with me. She's going to be on the sewing machine today.
Yes, I'm going to sit and stitch today, which normally we don't do. Normally I sit and we all chat and things, but today I'm actually going to show you how to make this rag quilt. So rag quilts are really quick and easy. If you've never done a quilting project before, then the rag quilt is for you. It gives it a nice thick feel to it, good quality, really comfortable, and you can use the rag quilt for a lot of other projects. So you can turn it into a bag, you can have it as a playmat, you can have it as a lap quilt, all sorts of different things. And as Fiona said, we've got 3 colourways today of the Liberty fabric. The fabrics will be cut for you. If you purchase a kit today, the fabric will be cut ready for you in a 6" by 6" square. Okay, and then your backing fabric will also be pre-cut in a corresponding Liberty fabric. So it won't be one of the ones that you've got in the pile. It will be a corresponding one that goes with the collections. So for example, the pink collection is Time for Tea. So the backing fabric will be a Time for Tea backing fabric. And that will be a mystery surprise for you. But it will be pre-cut, and you will get 36 pre-cut 6" squares for the backing. You will also get your wadding in the kit. And that's in there, and it's a quality quilter's weight wadding. Okay, and that will be pre-cut 5" by 5" squares, and you'll get 36 of those as well.
Yep.
And then we're chucking in a coordinating thread.
We are.
Yeah, so there'll be a coordinating thread as well, and that will be in a Metler or a Gutterman.
Yep.
And then really it's just a case of me showcasing in a minute a bit of history about Liberty.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of research. I've got some notes, so just bear with me if I do look down. So there was a small half shop on Regent Street in London in 1875. So Liberty, the name Liberty, has actually been around for over 140 years. I know that because my husband was born in 1975, so that's 100 years. And then he's just over 40 and a bit.
Is he that old?
He really is that old now, yeah. Sorry, Scott, he's at work.
Scott.
I did tell him to stick it on live at work, but you know, he might not be. So it is over 140 years old. The sets, somebody's just asked how much the sets are. We have got somebody who's going to be answering the questions as well, but the kits are just £30 today, so you get everything to make the kit for just £30. So back to Liberty history. In 1920s, it became famous for its scarves, silk scarves, hand painted at Liberty Mill in Merton or Lancashire, until around the 1960s. And then they just do anything. They do men's clothes, Little Liberty, which is the kids range, which are beautiful little dresses, bags, furniture, ornaments, you name it, they do it. One of the latest things that they do is they're 100% quilting weight cotton.
Yeah.
So this is cotton. It's not cotton lawn. This is 100% quilter's weight cotton. So again, for quilting, it's fantastic. But also we've had little dresses made out of it, and they look absolutely stunning.
Bags,
linings for bags, cushions, bunting,
housewares, camper van stuff. People have made blinds out of it for their camper van.
So it's brilliant for a nursery range if you wanted something different, especially the tie for tea. It's really colourful, it's really beautiful. The coral, if you wanted something different instead of the pink for a little girl, coral's really nice. And then obviously we've got the blue range as well. So the quilt can be used for children, it can be used for adults, for your laps. If you want to buy 2 kits, you can then get a bigger quilt.
Yep, and
you can buy
at the bottom of your bed.
Yeah, 3 kits and make an even bigger quilt. I'm glad you'd be the one that's sewing that, but that would be interesting to see.
That's the great thing about a rag quilt, you see, because it doesn't matter how many kits you buy, you can keep adding to it. You see, so what you'll do is you'll sew all your squares here, and let's, for example, say you've made the 36 squares that we've done, and it works out about 30 inches by 30 inches square. So once you've done that, if you suddenly decide actually that that's not big enough, you could purchase another kit, as long as we've got the stock, and then you could add to it and add another 30 inches to 30 inches. You don't have to stop, whereas quilting you would normally back it, bind it, wad it. Once you've done that, it can't be extended. The rag quilt can be extended. So all you need to do is have a go. Have a go, see if you like it. If it's big enough, brilliant. If it's not, add to it.
So what you're saying is then, Jenny, let's have a think. So you've just had a newborn.
Yeah.
And you do them a beautiful rag quilt. And then they grow a little bit and they need something a little bit longer. You can then add, say, in a couple of years' time, it will look slightly different, but are you saying you could still add to that quilt?
Yeah, you could definitely still add to it. We've got an example of a rag quilt that we've done. This isn't a Liberty, this is a Guess How Much I Love You rag quilt.
Which we also stock on the shelves on our website.
So this is a rag quilt that's been already done. Okay, so we've stitched around the edges when we're finishing off. So you have got all these snipped edges, but you could very carefully place another square that's row. Let me grab one. To the right side, wrong side, sorry. So you'd have a full row of these and then stitch along the stitch line, lift them up, and yeah, you can just add to it.
And then just snip it and wash it.
So if it was, for example, the blue collection, and you wanted to make it bigger next year, but the fabric's not in stock, you then go get a corresponding blue or cream, make strips to go around the edges, and it can keep growing.
Fantastic.
And that's why rag quilts are brilliant, because they can keep growing.
I like that. We're also doing kits on bunting as well. So if you keep an eye on our website, if you do a quilt, you could then get a bunting kit or even a cushion kit when we get those done in the same corresponding.
Yeah.
So you could
we advertised Tactile Treasures the other day, a lovely little company, and we've made a little I Spy bag out of the Liberty fabrics. So again, that's something else that you can get. Kits are available for those sorts of things and are coming in. There's loads of kits that are coming in the Liberty fabric for us.
The thing with Liberty that people don't realise is Liberty is a fashion brand. It is a brand. Liberty of London is designer. People forget that, especially in this area. We don't, because we're not in London. I don't think we hear of it as much, but Liberty really has been around for years and is still an up and coming trend. So if you get your hands on one of these kits today, you are going to have a designer rag quilt by the end of the time and doing it, and it's so simple.
And they are ridiculously simple.
The link's not working, but I have tried it and it does work, so I don't know if she wants to try and refresh the page, or because it is working for me.
Okay, no worries. So Dawn, if you want to just go back and try the link again for us. If not, you can pop onto the website. It's www.sowaliciousfabrics.co.uk, and there's 3 buttons. You've got fabrics, workshops, and then we've got the parties that we do, and at the top there's a search bar. If you just type in the search bar Liberty Kits, it will bring these up as well. So there's a couple of different ways that you can find the kits on our website. Okay, so I'm going to get sewing.
Get sewing. I can
Yeah,
be quiet for a
you
minute.
can
while
you can sit and you can talk to me about it. So we're going to get sewing. But like Fiona was saying, most people know Liberty from Liberty Tana Lawn and other dressmaking fabrics. This is you can use this as dressmaking fabric. Don't think you can't. It's absolutely fine. There's no problems with it. But it's a lovely quilting weight fabric. It is absolutely beautiful, and as Natalie is showcasing for you, it stitches a dream. So I'm just going to talk about the rag quilt at the minute. So we've got our 6-inch squares. Okay, I'm just trying to keep on my lines that I have drawn. So we've got our 6-inch squares. These will come pre-cut in your kit. You will have your backing, you will have your wadding, and you will have your top layer. And all you do is make a ham sandwich. Okay, well, the reason why we call it a ham sandwich is just because it's easier than trying to remember right side, wrong side of the wadding, all those bits and pieces. So imagine you're making a sandwich. You've got your bread, that's my bread, that's my ham, goes in the middle, leaving yourself a good 1/2 inch gap all the way round. And then on the top will go the top of your bread. So that would be your ham sandwich. We're going to pin it because what we want is these squares to be perfectly level. Okay, the better the more level they are, the easier it is to when we get to the rag quilt part. So
you have done your backing face down.
Yep, my backing is face down
so that you can see it.
Yep.
Then you've put your wadding, and then you have put your top one facing up.
Yeah.
So the wrong sides are in the middle.
Yeah.
So both sides have now got the fabric that you want to see.
Yeah. So that's your back side and that's the front side. So you want to see your fabric.
Yeah.
It's not like you would do normally where you're hiding them and things. You want to see all your fabric. Okay. We've also then used a iron erasable pen. So we've used an iron erasable pen and we have drawn ourselves, let me show you here, a line from one corner to the other, and then we've done another line from the opposite corner to the other, and we've created a cross in the middle of the fabric. You don't have to do the cross if you don't want to. You could do a swirl, you could do a heart, you could do a star. It's up to you how you want to sew this bit together, but I like the traditional cross. And then we start sewing all the crosses. So if you can see from here, if you can just make out the stitch line. So we've stitched and we're stitched, which is what I'm doing now. I've got about another 6 to do, and there's the cross on the back. So I'm going to carry on with these, and Natalie can film a bit and have a chat to you about the collection colours. And now normally I like to chain piece, which is where I just stitch through the fabrics and I don't cut off at the back. I just keep stitching through and I make a chain of fabrics. Because we are stitching on the diagonal, that makes this a little bit more difficult because the machine, this particular machine, is wanting to eat my fabric. So I'm having to stitch a little bit further into the fabric than I would do normally. I'm just going to come off a little bit more. In I go. And it shouldn't there, it's not grabbed it. So I can just keep stitching through all of these, and then when I get to the end, what I'll do is just snip each of my chain pieces. It just makes it really, really quick to stitch through. So what do you think, Fee? Do you think rag quilt would be good for beginners?
Definitely. Really something that is so simple. So while Jenny's just finishing the last few of those off, because you've just seen what she's doing, I'll just go through the kits a little bit more. So your kits are just £30. So on the website, www.sewiliciousfabrics.co.uk. This one is the pink set. It's going to have your wadding as well. Each of these will be cut into 9 pre-cut pre-cut squares. 6 inch by 6 inch, and your wadding will be 5 inch by 5 inch. You will also get your backing pre-cut into your 6 inch by 6 inch. That's going to come as a surprise, but it will be part of the same range. So we've got this one, which is really lovely. The little cupcakes, cherries, little flowers, strawberries, little hearts in the middle of the little biscuits. Hi Julie, and then onto this one, lovely white with the little love hearts, and then down onto a beautiful white with pink leaves running through. Natalie keeps looking at me because I always lose the words, so she's prompting me with the words. And then finally onto one of my favourite ones. This one is actually called Time for Tea, and as you can see, it's got little teapots. Again, you've got the little love hearts, all the little colours, and this is just a beautiful collection, ideal for any age. Lovely for a conservatory or, well, just anywhere really.
So I quite like it on my patio, you know, with my log burner.
Yes.
My outside garden burner this time of year with my blanket. Hat and
Very
scarves,
posh,
obviously.
yeah.
Hat and scarves.
Well, even in the late summer, you could put that over your knee, it would look lovely. And then onto the blue. So if you did want to do a baby cut out of the Liberty, we do have a lovely blue range. The quirkiness about this one is that when you come to put your triangles together, you can turn your triangles, so it can either be that way, this way. Squares, not triangles, because I looked at the triangle on Jenny's. Thank you, Natalie. So the squares, so you can turn them either way, so you get a little bit more dimension out of this one. And then following through to the little cottages, which are really sweet. And little
horses.
We've decided trees.
Pigs.
Really cute, quaint.
Pigs.
Oh, okay. And then
Reminds me of Little House on the Prairie.
it does, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, really
Cute.
sweet.
I do like it.
Then through into a light blue floral and down to the dark blue floral. Really, really nice. And then the final collection, so that's the blue collection, this is the coral collection. This is one of my favourites. We see a lot of pink for girls, so to have something coral is a little bit different. So we've got a nice deep coral colour, and then we've got a lovely yellow, quite autumnal really, green, pinks, and then we're down to the chain link style one again.
Country path.
Country path.
That's what it's called.
It's actually called a country path.
Same with the blue. That's country path.
This has got a yellow through it as well as the coral, which is really nice. And again, you can turn this with your squares either way, so it gives it a little bit of something different. And then finally down onto the floral with more green in it, which is really, really nice. As you can see, they all look beautiful together. So your kits again are just £30. This is the coral, you've got the blue, and you've got the pink. So where's Jenny at?
I've got another 4 to go. I have sewn all the first lines, straight lines across my triangles. Oh, you've got me at you now across my squares. Triangles on the brain. So I'm just running them through, chain piecing them. I'm not back stitching. I'm not securing the cotton in any way. I've not removed the pins. I am just sticking them through, giving them a slight pull so that I can get my next one under without the machine eating my fabric. And then I'm just stitching straight across the line that we have put on each of these. This line, like I say, because it's an iron off erasable pen, you will put it on the iron once we've done, and we'll just give it a bit of a press, and that'll make the colours disappear. Before you use them though, we'll always test on an inconspicuous piece of your fabric. Make sure it's not going to mark. I haven't had one yet touch some wood, so far so good. The only thing I have noticed with the iron off pens is that if you want it to fully disappear, because sometimes it leaves like a bit of a gel residue. For it to disappear completely, you would need to wash it, but because we're doing a rag quilt, we are going to be washing it. We want that washing process. And if I put it in the cold, the marks do come back. But that is the freezing cold. It does need to be really cold for the marks to come back.
Does that happen after it's been washed as well?
No. Once it's been washed, they've gone. Excellent. Yes, the marks have gone once they've been washed. So I've just finished all my squares now. I'm just snipping into the chain pieces. That was just to save time for me, so I didn't have to backstitch and keep. So that is it. That is all 36. Yeah. All 36 of the rag quilts done, of the squares done, all finished. So I can take the pins out as I go along now. And we have pre-designed the pattern that we're going to do with this particular quilt.
So is this where you take all those then, lay them out on the
Yes.
floor or on your table and decide which order you want them in?
Yeah.
Which is what we did, and we had some fun trying to not get any at the side of each other. So we was moving them around thinking, oh, we don't like the four together, let's move them. But when we did move them, we'd got others at the side of each other. So it was quite fun, actually. We really enjoyed having a bit of a...
So don't worry if you do end up with pieces together, or you end up with pieces in a diagonal, or you end up with 3 around each other. You will. So you do need to a little bit just ignore the fact that you're not making a set pattern with this particular quilt. So I'm just going to find my first row of pieces. So I have got 1, 2, another house, 3, country path, and another floral. So they are, I've missed that one out, haven't I? Yeah. So these are my 6 pieces of fabric that I am going to sew together to make my first row here. Okay, so that's my first row. So I'm just going to grab these. Now, again, the difference with these are that you are going to sew these, instead of going right sides to right sides, that would cause you a problem, okay, because you wouldn't see the fluffiness of the quilt. Okay, so you're going wrong side to wrong side, and I'm just going to...
Yep.
And then Kira, if you want to just take a photograph of that as well for me, please.
The reason we're doing photographs is we've just got a few photographs missing for the instructions. So when you do purchase these kits, I have sat today and written out the instructions, so I do apologise if there's any spelling mistakes. I did only get a C in English. It's not my strong point. So I have written them out. If you've got any problems, do feel free to message us at any point and we can run through this with you. So I think Jenny's ready to start piecing these together.
Yeah, so I just want to show you this one other piece as well. Is what I'm trying to do as well is, because I've done cream on cream, obviously you can't quite see it, but I've got a stitch line here and then I've got a stitch line here, and I'm trying to piece them up to try and get them at the same space on the back, because if I can just show you the example, when you get to the back, these do make a diamond on the back.
So again, if you're not overly confident on this, if you did these as a little love heart,
yeah,
then you wouldn't have the meeting corners, would you?
No.
As such, you'd still have to make sure they lined up there, but you could still do the squiggles.
And the seam allowance for me sewing these together is between 1/2 inch and 1 inch seam allowance. We have pre-cut the wadding so that it is 1/2 inch smaller all of the way around. Again, I don't need to backstitch these. I just take them out.
It's a full inch.
Is it full inch?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be though. It could be half
It could be
an inch.
anything that you want it
Yes.
to be, because it is your quilt.
It is your quilt.
So what's the difference then? Is you just talking about having a different seam allowance?
Yep, so if you do 1 inch seam allowance, you're going to get lots more fabric sticking out for your fluffy bit. If you do 1/4 inch seam allowance, these are going to be smaller.
I get it.
Yeah, so it all depends on what you want to do as your preference for your seam allowance. Just remembering that if you have a bigger seam allowance, you're going to get a smaller quilt.
Yes.
Because you're losing extra inches, half inch each time you sew. So you will get a slightly smaller quilt than what we've put on our design.
So you are doing wrong side to wrong side.
No, I'm not. I'm doing right side to right side. No, I'm not. I'm doing
doing
wrong
wrong
side
side
to wrong
to
side.
wrong side.
You know, because you said that threw me. I'm thinking
But
I've
this
done
is
that
it.
wrong.
Everybody does right side to right side
They
and
do.
turn it. We don't want that. We actually want the seam sticking up on the right side of your project.
We do.
Your seams have to be up on the right side of your project. That's really important. Otherwise, you won't get the rag effect at the end.
Take that out. So, wrong side to wrong side. Again, you see, I'm having to tell myself lots that this is what I'm doing. Wrong side to wrong side. And then I'm just placing it through. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Oh, the rag quilt will do. For a rag quilt, two wrongs make a right. It's
Now-
not our life lesson. It's just a rag quilt lesson. Not a
What
life
you
lesson.
might find is that depending on how far your rag quilt comes along, your sewing machine is trying to push it out of the way. Okay, so I'll put this under the machine. So we've left half an inch from the wadding. So when I put it down, as you get a bit further along the two squares, it's feeling like it wants to push. If you do get that and you are feeling that you're not getting a straight line because of it, you can use a zipper foot. So you would put a zipper foot on here on your machine so that you can get right up to the edge of the wadding that you've got in. That's just a top tip there for you.
Says, enjoying watching this, ladies. Thanks.
You're welcome. Just something new we thought we'd try, because it's okay telling people that you can do this, and sometimes we do like to run workshops on these kind of projects, and this is what our workshops are all about. And we also have socials so that you can come along and do these sort of projects, and we're around just to give you a hand. But we do know there's people that don't live close that would like to know how we do these things. So for us, this is what it's about. We've put the kits together because for me the cutting is one of the biggest things that I really struggle with. So this time we're actually going to pre-cut this out for you, so you won't get the bundles like we'll lay out here. You will get the squares.
So for £30 of Liberty fabric, you're getting 2 metres worth of Liberty fabric approximately, because you're getting a metre for the back and then it's 4 fat quarters for the front. You're getting the wadding pre-cut, you're getting the matching cotton for 30 quid. That's what you're telling me.
That's the bargain. And my instructions, handwritten by me.
But pre-cut, I'm sorry, the pre-cut.
Pre-cut by Jenny.
Pre-cut.
I don't do no cutting, that's Jenny's job.
and the girls help me with the cutting. So yeah, for 30 quid you can't go wrong for pre-cut fabric.
The only thing I would say is, I was just watching Jenny get her house then, and I was thinking if she puts that in, it's going to be the wrong way round. So if you have got a direction, which I think possibly the cupcakes and the houses, just make sure that when you are putting your quilt together, to think about the direction in which these are going in.
So all I'm doing now is I've moved on to my second row. My first row is done. So that is the first row of the quilt. It's all done. I'll show you the back. The diamonds are all showing on the back. They may not match exactly for you when you're doing it as well. Again, that'll depend on your seam allowance. It'll depend where you've sewn them on your blocks. But it still looks really, really pretty. So don't worry too much, because it's a raggy quilt. It's supposed to be quite rustic looking. Did you know, back in the day, a rag quilt was made up of old clothes?
Old clothes?
Yeah. Yeah, they used to use all the leftover scraps and clothes and curtains and bedding that they couldn't use anymore, and this is what they would use to make their quilts, to keep them warm in the winter. Is where a rag quilt has come from.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's a really old method of quilting. And again, you know, you're not trying to match your points, you're not trying to worry about your seams, you've not got to get up to the iron. You actually haven't got to move from your sewing machine.
So a real perfect for beginners.
Yeah.
Excellent. I did actually have a conversation with a lady in one of our workshops, and she said to me, she says, I don't always get things perfect, and it really upsets me. She says, I see other ladies in the workshop and theirs are absolutely amazing. So we had a bit of a chat, and I was saying that it's something I can't do all the time, is get things perfect. None of us can all the time. So I think it's really important to realise that when it's your work, especially if you're doing it as a gift for somebody, a loved one, then it's your love that's gone into these quilts. So again, does it matter if it's a little bit not right and it's a little bit quirky? So again, like you say, the rag quilt is fantastic for that, because it hasn't got to be perfect. It is supposed to be raggy and a little bit messy, if you like, which is against everything that we stand by. I like order and neat.
Yeah, but I think once you do become a crafter, that sort of goes out the window a little bit, and you do start to rethink that actually it doesn't quite matter if that seam is just that little bit out there. You know, it'd be nice if we could sew it perfect every time, but fabric moves and it's got a life and stuff. So occasionally.
I think that was one of the hardest things for me about doing this, was there was no pattern to it. When we was laying it out, we was just throwing the squares down here and there and making it look okay, trying not to get two of the same touching. And I think that was the most important thing, was it wasn't uniformed, it wasn't in any kind of symmetrical pattern. That's the word I'm looking for, symmetrical. So it wasn't a problem, but it can be a bit messy. Of disorder in life when everything's all about order.
And the chaos. So there's row 2. See, and as you can see, there's a slight error on one of them, so I will unpick that and I will need to restitch that. That's got caught as I've gone along, but that's fine. I'll come back to that one in a minute. So this is row 2, and where is my row 1, please?
Okay.
How long have I got? About half an hour. So what I'm going to do now is, rather than carry on the rows, I'll carry on the rows in a minute, I'm going to put row 1 to row 2. Okay, so here you go, Natalie, if you can just show, I'll just move that machine out of the way. So if you can see there, so this is my row 1 and this is my row 2. And as you can see, all the ends are up. I'm looking at
Jenny's
that
made
design.
a boo-boo.
I have, as you can see.
That one is supposed to be there and this one is supposed to be there, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't, no, because what I'm going to do is...
Just...
No, I still can't do it. I'm going to sew another row.
You are.
I'm going to sew another row in and come back to me.
So I would advise what you do is make piles, or actually follow the picture.
It don't matter, does it?
Yeah. I was going to say, suggest that you make a picture.
I did.
Of everything and take a photo. So this is what we did.
She's purchased one of the coral kits.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. We hope to see it made soon.
Yes, we at the bottom of the instructions it does actually say #SewAlicious_makes. So if you do make anything out of our fabrics at Sewalicious Fabrics, we'd like you to #SewAlicious_makes on anything that you do. Tag us in it, share it on our page, let us know everything that you're making. Especially these, we like to think that we've inspired people a little bit. So Jenny's just making it up as we go along, rather than actually following the picture.
Yeah, I've scrapped the picture now. The picture is scrapped. Picture is completely scrapped. So as you can see, I've added an extra row in. I'm going to quickly sew these up while Fiona goes back and re-shows you the kits.
Woohoo! Back to me. Okay, so I'm just going to pinch one of these so that I can show people the wadding that's inside. So just going back, this is the wadding that you get. It is quilter's weight wadding.
It's 80% polyester, 20% cotton.
We are closing at 2:30. Yeah, 2:30 today. But we are reopen on Friday from 9:30 till 2:30.
And we're open Thursday night as well.
Thursday night. We are here Thursday night from 6 till 8. So if you did want to come in and purchase in an evening, that's absolutely fine. We do run a sew social, but you're more than welcome to pop in. So again, this is your wadding that you'll get. Pre-cut squares, 5" by 5". And then you will also get these 4 cut into 9 squares. So you'll get 9 of each of the pattern in 6x6, so it's larger than your actual wadding. And then we're going to throw in a backing. It will correspond, it will be from the same range, and it will be a similar colourway, if I'm quite right.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily going to be the cream. So that's what you get. So let's go to the quick run through. So this is the coral, one of my favourites, especially this time of year, autumn. It's beautiful, really deep and rich. So you've got a 2-tone coral on this one, going into a lovely cream with pink, yellow, like a deep yellow, which is quite nice, not a bright yellow, a deep yellow, and a green. It's like an olivey green, which is quite nice. And then onto the pathway.
One wants to know, will you keep stocking kits so I can add more to mine if I wanted it any bigger?
Yes, until the fabric runs out, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So these are the bolts of fabric that we've got. So we have got quite a bit left at the moment, but once it's gone, it's gone. We will not be able to restock this. So if you do want exactly the same and you want to make it bigger, it might be purchasing kits sooner rather than later. Again, as we were talking about at the beginning, if you're happy to have a smaller quilt in this and then extend it later, Liberty do tend to bring out similar colourways, and we've also got plains that will match and other fillers as well, that you'll be able to use as it grows. But if you do want the same, you want to guarantee that you get exactly the same in a bigger quilt, is to purchase more kits as soon as you can. But yes, we're definitely going to keep a stock in until it's gone. So this is what we was here. Was at the coral.
We were there.
We was there. Thank you, Natalie.
We did well, we didn't really do
The country path.
There's the country path.
This one we like because as you're aligning your squares, which you can see Jenny's done here, she's got this one going that way, but this one coming this way. So it just adds that extra bit of a dimension for you to play around with. So that's that one with the yellow in, which then follows into this one. And then very similar, but we've got the cottage in this one and slightly different florals. This is our blue range, which is what Jenny's working with, which look really nice together.
Yep. I'm just so I've done my.
Perfect. Come on.
I'm here.
Faster,
I'm ready.
Are we
I know,
ready?
I'm coming. There we go. So we've got 3 rows stitched together now. Okay, and I'm going to now start piecing these together just because I want to see you to see the next process, and I then can carry it on so you'll see it growing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the seams. I am going to use a couple of pins at this point, and I am going to open out the seam allowance. There's no right and wrong way for seam allowances, okay, for this. If you want one pressed one way and one pressed the other, you can do.
I have, yeah. There's just been a question come through. Can you just remind us what size this kit makes?
This kit is approximately,
depending on your
seam allowance, will work out at 30 inches by 30 inches. Okay, so it'll be a 30-inch square. We cut it out of fat quarters and you end up with 9 6x6 squares per colourway, and there's 4 colours in this. 4 different patterns in this. So it's approximately 30 by 30, but if Kira could pass me a tape measure, I will stitch this one together, and then I'll be able to measure the length of it, because it does make a square. As you can see, I'm just pinching these together. Don't worry about all the stray pieces of cotton that are hanging out at the minute.
So that's your 30. So as you can see, definitely big enough for a lap quilt.
Let's have a look.
Even my lap. There's always a joke in there.
And it is, yeah, just over 30. 30 by 30-inch square, yeah.
But once washed, it will become 30 because the edges will come up.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
So I have pinned them all together. I'm just going to place it underneath my sewing machine. I'm going to drop my needle into my machine just to start me off. And then I am going to do my inch seam allowance way along. I can feel it trying to hit that wadding, so I am going to change to a zipper foot. I can put them in a minute. Now when you get to the seams, because there's quite a lot of bulk there, it will go through a normal machine with a normal standard needle. So we've got an 80 by 11 in here at the minute. It will do that absolutely fine. But what I'm going to do is, with my hand at the back of the machine, grabbing hold of the fabric without actually pulling the stitches, I'm just going to slightly give it a little helping hand over that bulk. Not too big, because I don't want to stretch that stitch. There we go, it's gone through. Now again, you can see it's starting to grab a little pucker, so I'm just going to give it another pull. And there we go. And help it just over that little seam. And there we go. So we're just helping it over the seam. You could use a walking foot if you wanted to. So a walking foot would be good for this. Oh, I'm attached to a pin. That's why it's not going through. So a walking foot would be good again as well, because if you've got a walking foot, what happens is you've got teeth on the bottom of your machine, on your machine bed, but you've also got teeth on your walking foot. So it pulls the bottom of your fabric and your top of your fabric through at the same speed, and that just alleviates some of this puckering that you can get when you're working on it. Okay. Seam through. See, it just wants a little bit of a helping hand through the machine. Again, don't worry if your straight stitching's not exactly straight. It's all going to add to the effect of the rag quilt as we go through. Once I've done this row, I'm going to stitch on. I might actually, no, I will do the snipping next. I'm just going to help it through the last little bit. Now there's a little kink, so I'm just going to straighten it out. That's it, brilliant. So we don't need to stitch that last little bit or back stitch, because we're going to do a stitch around the edge when we're finished. So if you can see the back, what we're aiming for is to try and get your points the same, try and get your diamonds the same. I've now got a big diamond here, and I've got little diamonds here. And that's that. Yep. Then I'm going to turn it over and get yourself a pair of really nice sharp snippers. These are actually stainless steel ones, and they retract on themselves. It just takes a little pressure off your hands. But you can use a pair of scissors if you want to. And then I'm going to start this end, and I'm going to snip every inch to half an inch all the way along the rag quilt, and it is snipping. There you go. It can be a little bit tricky. It is a little bit of hard pressure on your hands. You're trying not to stitch on your stitching. Okay, if you stitch on your stitching, it's going to come undone. So just give it a good
snip on your
snip on your stitching. Snip.
That's what that noise was there.
Okay, and you work your way all the way down the quilt. When you get to your seam allowance, what I like to do, I like to actually snip it so it comes apart slightly from that bit there. So as you can see, that's already starting to rag up.
Which is exactly what you want.
It's exactly what you want. And go down there.
See, that hurts my head at first. It's like, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be messy. You shouldn't leave these ends out. It's not what actually happens. But then when you see the finished product, this has only been washed twice.
Yeah, so what happens is once you've finished your quilt, it'll look like the one I'm doing at the minute, so it won't look very raggy, okay? So what you need to do is you need to put it through a washing machine, through a standard wash, as long as that's okay with the fabric that you've chosen. So do check your washing instructions with the fabric.
So this fabric, the Liberty.
The Liberty is absolutely fine. I have washed it and I have tumble dried it, and I have had no problems. But please, if it's yours and you are a little bit worried, put yourself a scrap piece in. In fact, we will put you a piece of scrap in your kit, because there's a little bit left over when we pre-cut.
Yeah.
So we'll stick your little piece of scrap in, iron it, stick it in the washing machine, stick it in the tumble dryer at your settings, and then you can check that it works for you and what your settings work at. So that one's gone through the washing machine twice. Fabric softener, definitely. And then wash powder. I even chucked a couple of those nice smelly balls in. Can't remember what they're called, but don't say it, because we're not allowed to. But those nice smelly balls.
There is other smelly balls that are available. Let's just leave it there. There is other smelly balls available, just in case, you know. Anyway.
And then it went to the tumble dryer. And then it goes in the tumble dryer.
Yep.
And we tumble dried it.
And then you get this effect. A lovely rag. The more you wash it, the better it looks.
Yes.
So I'd say this one needs another one. We did have another one in earlier in the year, and it has been washed, I think, 3 or 4 times.
It was 4 times.
And we sold that one. But it looked so much better. So I think the more you do wash it, the better it looks. Even though it does hurt my head that you're snipping it.
I am proper getting into these seams here to create that raggy effect here.
So do you do that? Yeah, obviously you do it on the ends as well. Have you sewn the edges then?
Not yet.
But you will be.
But I will be doing, yeah. So what I will do is, once it's all complete, I will go round the edge and I will do a straight stitch all the way around the square.
Do you do that before you snip?
You will do that before you snip. The reason I've gone straight into the snipping is because I want to show you what you need to do with the snipping, because I won't have this all completed.
To know, does it not fray?
Now, it does fray a little bit, okay? When you, as you can see, there's all these little bits that are outstanding, okay? You'll stick this in the washing machine and these little bits will come off, okay? The reason we don't put the wadding into these little sections is because the wadding will disintegrate as you wash it. And that's why the wadding is cut the 1/2 inch around the edge and left just inside. But as you can see, once you've washed it twice and it gets to this point, it doesn't fray anymore. It's done. So I think it's the weft.
It will a little bit.
Yeah, but it won't too much come off. It's like the weft and the warp. You've took away the left pieces of cotton and you're left just with your straights.
And because it's been stitched, past the stitch will not fray, so you won't ruin your quilt, you'll just ruin the bit that needs to be ruined.
It will look more ragged and old, which would...
Yeah, and it won't fray past the stitching anyway, because you've done your stitching.
So the idea is it does fray a little bit to give it that rag look.
Yeah.
But again, it won't ever go past that. So if you've washed it 100 times and it frays and or you've got a kid that piddles at it, it shouldn't go past your stitch line anyway. So it should be absolutely fine.
So I will carry on stitching this up and see how far we get. We've got about 10 minutes. If you've got any questions about the process of the rag quilt, because all I will do now is carry on sewing the rows. Once I've got the quilt at the 30 by 30, I will stitch my seam allowance around the edge. So I will stitch here on the edge, creating a square all the way around the quilt, and then I will go in at this point and snip my last edge pieces all the way around.
So the size of the seam allowance, how big is that around the edge?
Around the edge it's 1/2 inch.
Right.
All the same as what you've done in the middle, if you want it to look the same. What I was going to say is I saw something on a programme once, and if you're worried, it might take a little bit longer to do this, but if you're worried about snipping into your seam allowance, you can put a pin in, like so. And then when you're snipping up to that, you shouldn't be able to snip over the pin.
And I can't go any further than that pin, so I know I've gone to that pin.
Might take a little bit longer, but if you are not confident in not catching your stitches, stick in some pins as you're doing it. Top tip. Yeah. Fiona's top tip of the day, use a pin to snip up to.
We need one of those light bulbs.
Mew, 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 mew.
Light bulb moment.
Top tip. Top tip. So I'm just going to carry on then. I'm going to sew my next row to this row. I'm going to check I've got the right piece. So it's that way around. And then I'm going to go back to my pieces.
Yep,
so if we just want to have another chat then about what the Liberty fabrics that we've got.
Yeah, so we've got Liberty, so we've done the coral, we've done the blue. The one that we didn't do last time was Time for Tea, which is the pink with a little bit of green. it's really cute. It's time for tea. It's about having cups of tea and cake. I mean, what else do you want in life? Tea and cake. Unless you don't like tea, you're allergic to tea, or you're on a diet and you can't eat cake, then obviously carrot sticks or something. But anyway.
They could be carrot sticks, but pink.
Could be.
Yeah.
I think we're going off topic a little bit. But anyway. Your Liberty fabric. These Liberty fabrics are 100% cotton. They are not cotton lawn. You can use them for dressmaking. You can use them for homewares, bags. If you name it, you can use it. Today, we're obviously using it for quilts.
It is a quilting weight fabric, so it is like your Riley Blakes. It's like your Michael Millers. It's like your Northcote.
Sorry, Dawn's asked, what is the name of the Liberty Coral set, please?
That one is
Cottage Garden. And then each of the collections, there is Morning Dew. Daisy something?
Daisy Shadow.
Daisy Shadow. Country Path and...
So we've got the Cottage Garden.
Country Path.
And we have the Cottage Garden.
Daisy Shadow.
We have the... It's not going to tell you this one. Oh, there you go.
Cottage Garden Forget-Me-Not flowers, and
the last one is the Cottage Garden
Lawn Games.
But there are different colourways done in the Cottage Garden collection. So there's a whole range of Cottage Garden, but there are different colourways.
So this one is the same. This one is Cottage Garden.
Yep.
Get to this one. They're quite heavy.
Morning Dew.
So that one is the Cottage Garden Morning Dew.
Cottage Garden Morning Dew.
And this is Morning Dew, but in a
darker blue.
The darker blue. And then we have the
Cottage Garden.
Cottage Lane.
Oh, Cottage Lane.
And then obviously the Country Path in the blue. And then the other collection is the Time for Tea collection.
Lovely, thank you. This has been great.
You're very welcome.
We've got Teacup Treasures. I don't know that one.
Garden Trail.
We also have Tea Party. And we have Heart Bouquet.
Heart Bouquet.
Do you do a kit for boys?
The Liberty fabric. This is the kit for boys.
Yeah, we can swap out if, in particular, if you wanted one for a boy and you didn't want the floral flowers, we could swap it out for a couple of the other in the collection if you want to go and grab them, Kira. There's a grey that's not floral. Anything that's not floral.
Someone said my phone rang, so missed it. How rude.
You can watch us back. Do not panic. We will be there for a while. So you can watch our lovely selves as many times as you desire.
So Jenny, what are you doing?
Well, I'm currently unpicking this last little bit because I'm not happy with the wadding as it pushed the sewing machine foot out the way. So yeah, definitely I would probably put a zipper foot on with the next row just to make sure. So as you can see, my seam ripper is my best friend. I use it a lot. The seam allowance moved a little bit, so I'm just going to unpick it and move it along.
The kits that we've got made up at the minute are the Liberty kits.
Yeah, they're the only kits that we've done at the minute. We are working on it. We are going through the collections of fabrics that we've got. It's something new for us, the kits. It's something that we are going to be focusing on over the next 6 months. At the minute we've got advent panel kits. We have a couple of those still in stock. And then we have got these. But I was just going through the list of the Liberty stuff, and there isn't actually one for a boy at the minute, though there is the Guess How Much I Love You fabric, if you wanted to have a look at that range and give us a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there is another range that you've seen on our website that you would like in a kit, then do messages. But we have got these ready to go. These are
the ones ready to go.
Ready and can be posted by Friday lunchtime because we're off tomorrow. It's Thursday. We have to have one day off.
Read the next comment. It's funny.
I'm calling Jack the Seam Ripper.
I like that.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Oops. Jack the Seam Ripper. I do like that. That's quite funny.
That's very good. I like that.
So
we have just nicknamed the Seam Ripper.
Jack. Yeah.
On behalf of Sarah.
On behalf of Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. That is a cracking name for the Seam Ripper.
So are there any more questions just before we jump offline? So obviously this will be around for you to go back and look again. We are always available for you to message, and you're quite welcome to pop in on our opening times.
We'll do a short video of it finished.
Yes.
And stuff so they can see it.
Yeah, we'll get a photo, we'll put the bottom, we'll put it in the comments later on of it finished. Natalie, do you want to have a quick scouted it? So this is row 3, and looking at the picture, I think we've got another 3 rows to go. 3 rows to go.
6 by 6.
Yeah, 6 by 6, so it'll be this wide and this long.
What does it look like on the back, just out of interest?
Depends on the stitcher. There we go. And
Should
that's
be
the back.
diamonds.
So the back will be exactly the same fabric along, and it'll be a corresponding range.
The best part about this, if you really wanted to make it complicated for yourself, you could do double-sided. You could do a double-sided quilt if you really wanted to.
Yes, this doesn't have to be the same. When you get our squares, you can choose how you wanted to use them. You could even put the backing squares with the front squares and add another colour in, and then the back would, and it would be reversible. Well, it's reversible anyway, but it would be a different pattern on the back as it is to the front.
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely. Well, I hope you've liked our sew along today. It is something new for us that we are going to be doing a lot more of. We're hoping that we're going to have another one next Wednesday. Yeah, so next Wednesday we are going to be doing a sew along in the Harry Potter.
What little bit we have left.
Yes, we don't have a lot of the Harry Potter left.
We may put a couple of the collections together, kits together, but...
Yeah, so it's going to be a different kit next week. It's going to involve Harry Potter, but today's Liberty. It's all about the Liberty in the cottage garden. We hope you like what you've seen.
Pop along to the website and get yourself an excellent
deal. Bargain.
Yeah. Designer bargain.
And we will see you next week.
Ta-da!